So we look at the question of May 2002. May 2002. And question number 5. May 2002. And question number 5. And the question, the question says that Zimco Media Group has 3 major divisions: newspapers, television, and film studios. Summary financial data in millions of shillings for years 2000 and 2001 is given as follows. Operating income, revenue, and total assets. The manager of each division has an annual bonus plan based on his division's return on investment, ROI. The company defines ROI as operating income divided by total assets. Yes. Senior executives from divisions reporting increases in divisions' ROI from the prior year are automatically eligible for a bonus. Senior executives of divisions reporting a decline in ROI had to provide persuasive explanations for the decline. In order to be eligible for any bonus, and they are limited to 50% of the bonus paid to the division managers reporting an increase in ROI. J. Kanyama, manager of the newspapers division, is considering a proposal to invest shillings 200 million in a fast speed printing press process with car options. The estimated increment to year 2002 operating income would be shillings 30 million. The media group has a 12% required rate of return for investments in all 3 divisions. Required. Use DuPont method to explain differences between the 3 divisions in their 2001 return on investment, and you use 2001 total assets as the denominator. B. Explain whether J. Kanyama should undertake the fast speed printing press investments proposal. C. TJ Zimco, the chairman of Media Group, has received a proposal to base senior executive compensation in each division on residual income, defined as operating income less imputed interest charge. Compute the residual income for each division in the year 2001. And what would the adoption of residual income basis change? Or would adoption of residual income basis change J. Kanyama's decision on acceptance of the fast speed printing press investment proposal? So that question is on performance measurement and performance measurement. Performance measurement. Now, in this performance measurement, we are going to arrange it like this. We're going to arrange it like this. We have the measure. We have the measure. We have the formula. So the first one is called margin. And margin is given as income you divide by revenue, you multiply by 100. That is how we shall get the margin. That's how we shall get the margin. Then there is another one called assets turnover. Assets turnover. Now, assets turnover is given as revenue you divide by total assets times 100. Then we have what we call return on investment, ROI. When you're using the DuPont, it will now be margin times assets turnover. Margin times assets turnover. You can multiply by 100, or you can just leave it that way. Let me multiply by 100. So let me write it like this. It is margin times assets turnover times 100. Then there is another one called residual income. And this one is given as income minus the cost of capital. Income minus the cost of capital. So hii space ingine tutaigawa as per the departments. As per the departments. So we are going to start with newspapers. Newspapers. Now, when you look at the question, we are told to use the values of 2001 as the denominators. So we are told to get income over revenue so that we get the margin. So in the newspapers, income is 1100. And the revenue is 4,600. You can multiply by 100. Give me the answer. 23.9%. So that is the space for the first department. Then we go to the next department, which is called television. In the television, income is 160 and revenue is 6,400. Times 100. (2.5%). Then we go to the last department. The last department called film studios. Film studios. Income there is 200. And the revenue is 1650. (12.2%). So what that means, as you know from your other areas of study about ratios, for every 100 shillings that the company makes for revenues, 23.9 is profit in the newspapers, 2.5 is profit in television, 12.12 is profits in film. So the department that is doing so well in terms of margin is the newspapers, followed by film studios, and trailed by television. So television is very risky, as you can see. You're making a very small profit. Let's go to assets turnover. Let's go to assets turnover. So assets turnover, you get 4,600. That is the revenue. You divide by the total assets. Total assets is 4,900. You multiply by 100. So that we get to know for every 100 shillings of money invested in newspapers, we are generating a revenue of 93.9%. 93.9%. When we go to the television, the revenue of television is 6,400. And the total assets is 3,000. Times 100. 213.3%. And here we have revenue of 1650 and the total assets of 2600 times 100. Yeah, 63.5%. Now, if you want to get the return on investment, it will be this 0.239 times 0.939 times 100. The margin times the turnover times 100. (22.44%). Higher. This other one, it is 0.025 times 2.133 times 100. (5.33%). And then 0.1212 times 0.635 times 100. (7.696%). Yeah, that's what we call the return on investment, and is what the question is calling the DuPont. DuPont, it is where you first of all break this down into two. Yeah. Residual income is given as income. So income here is 1100. You minus the cost of capital. Cost of capital, the rate of capital, the minimum rate of return, we are told it is 12%. The required rate of return is 12%. So you take 0.12 of the assets, 4,900. That is what will give us. That is what will give us the residual income there. Recompute again. 1100 minus 0.12 times 4,900. Yes, 512. Then here, the income is 160 minus 12% of the assets, which are 3,000. Which are 3,000. That is negative 200. Then this other one is 200 minus 12% of 2,600. Negative. Okay, so that is how we compute those values. Now, the next requirement is we explain whether the project should be should be adopted or not. So we will come here and talk of they are calling it what? They are calling it the fast speed printing press investment. The fast speed printing press investment. The first thing is to compute the measures, of this project. And we are going to compute return on investment. Now, if we are not using DuPont, return on investment is usually given as income over assets. If you don't want to break it down into these components, it is income over assets times 100. So this investment, we are told, it is going to generate an income, the operating income of 30. It is going to generate an income of 30. And we are investing 200. We are investing 200. That is the value. You now multiply by 100. Ndio tuone return on investment for that project. Ah, 15%. Then residual income. The formula is here. This one I will not write because it's not changing. It is the income, 30, minus the cost of capital, which is 12% of the asset. 12% of the asset. We have 6. So, the next thing, we are going to have the appraisal method. Appraisal method. And then the decision and the reason or the explanation. The appraisal method, if you're using return on investment, to appraise this method, this project, the decision will be to reject this one. It will be to reject. If you look at your notes to Tulisema, when you are using this method, a new project should only be accepted if its return on investment is greater than the existing return on investment in the division where the project is coming or in the company. You should only accept if the return on investment of that project, that new project, is greater than the current return on investment. Now, this project is being brought in the newspapers. And newspapers, you can see they already have 22.44%. Project is coming at 15. Now, this should be rejected. So, because 15% is less than 22.44%. The return on investment of the new project is below the return on investment of the existing of the department. If you are using residual income, this one you will accept. Again, when you look at your notes, you'll find that we only accept a project when you're using this method if the return on investment, we still use this one, if the return on investment of this is greater than the minimum required rate of return, it's greater than. So, because you can see this 15 is greater than 12, that's why we have a positive value. You are going to say 15% is greater than 12%. Or you could say the residual income is greater than 0. That's also another criteria. If the return on investment is greater than the cost of capital, then you are simply telling us the return on the residual income will be greater than 0. Will be greater than 0. Yeah. So are we okay with that now?
Yes.
So those methods can be used to appraise a project. Now, for your assignment, as I told you in our previous lesson, this is an area that the examiner likes so much. The probability that your paper will have a question on these two is very high. I'm not saying it's a must, but it is a very high likelihood. So attempt December 2024, question 3C. December 2024, question 3C. And then April 2024, April 2024, question 4B. April 2024, question 4B. There is a question I would like us to solve. It's like it's not in your past papers. So let me scan it. I've sent it.
Okay.
You have seen it?
Yes.
Good. Hebu isome.
Hypertext Limited, a medium-sized company, is run on divisional basis. All divisional managers are evaluated annually and those with outstanding performance rewarded. The division manager of Division Z is faced with the following mutually exclusive investment projects: initial capital investment, net cash flow, Project A and Project B. Additional information: the company requires rate of return in 16%. Neither project is expected to have a residual value, and the initial capital outlay is to be amortized evenly over the project's useful life. The initial capital outlay is to be made on 31st December 2006. All cash flows are assumed to accrue at the end of the year. In determining the expected divisional returns, divisional assets are valued at net book value at the beginning of each year. Ignore taxation. Required: advise the division manager of Division Z on the project that maximizes the divisional performance in the long run based on residual income, return on investment.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very good. That's good. So the question on May 2006. So the question is May 2006. performance measurement. So we do have details here. We do have details. Then we have the year 2007, Project A and Project B. 2008, Project A, Project B. 2009, Project A and Project B. 2010, Project A and Project B. So we will need to have opening net book value. And this opening net book value, I want us to call it C. We will call it C. Opening net book value. We will have depreciation. Depreciation, which we shall call D. Then we will have closing net book value. Now this one will be given as C minus D. Closing net book value. Then we will have something called costs of capital. Now, cost of capital, we are told it is 16%. So it will be 16% multiplied by the value of C. And we are going to call it E. We are going to call it E. We're going to call it E. Then we will have the net cash flow. The net cash flow. We will call it F. The net cash flow, we'll call it F. Then from there, we will have what we call income. Now, income it will be the cash flow, F. We minus the depreciation. We minus the depreciation, and this one we shall call it G. We shall call it G. Then we shall have residual income. Residual income would be given as G minus the cost of capital, which was E, and you call it H. You will call it H. And finally, we will have return on investment. return on investment. Now, return on investment will be this income, G, you divide by C. You multiply by 100. You multiply by 100. Once you are done with the design, let me know. Okay, good. So if you are done, we start. For project A, you can see if our figures are in thousands. You can see our figures, shillings in thousands. Shillings, thousands. For project A, it is 12,800. Let us start with project A. Cha kwanza tupambane na project A. Now, the depreciation, according to information 2, we are expected to have no residual value, and it is amortized evenly over the life. So divide this by 4. 12,800 divided by 4.
$3,200.
That's 200. So that is the depreciation. So now the closing net book value will be 12,800 minus that 200. We get 9,600. So this 9,600 becomes the opening for project A in the second period. Hapa. It is the opening. Then you less the depreciation. And this one now gives you 6,400. The 6,400 becomes the opening, the second period, the third period for project A. 6,400. You less the depreciation of that 200. You are left with a closing of that 200. Then that 200 opens up here. Opens up, you less the depreciation, and you are left with 0. That is project A. Let's go for project B, 10,400. Now 10,400 divided by 4. Divided by 4. 2,600. So that 2,600, when you less it, you get 7,800, 7,800. Now 7,800 opens the second year. You less 2,600. You are left with what? You are left with 5,200. 5,200. Then 5,200 opens up here. You less 2,600 to be left 2,600. Then the 2,600 opens here. You less 2,600 to be left with 0. Yeah, that's how you work for project B. Let us now get the cost of capital. Cost of capital will be 16% of the opening values. So give me 16% of this, of 12,800. 16% of 12,800. Get 2048. 16% of 10,400. $1,664. 16% of 9,600. $1,596. Give me the next one. $1,248. $1,024. $832. $512. $416. Good. So let's get to the net cash flow. Net cash flow, they are the cash flows that are given there, as you can see them. For project A, it is 4,800. B, it is 5,200. 4,800. 4,400. 4,800. 3,000. 4,800. And 2,000. And 2,000. So sasa tukishaweka hivyo, we now begin to look for the the income. So income utakuwa unachukua hii net cash flow, una subtract depreciation. You subtract that depreciation. So give me that value. $1,600. Haya, tuende the next one. Uchukue hii net cash flow, subtract depreciation. $2,600. Haya, tuende the next one. The next one. If minus, actually there it will be the same. It will be the same. Hii ya project A inakaa itakuwa the same. Zinafanana. So hii hata tunaweza jaza two straight to compute for B. So nitapatia ya B. Hii 4,400 minus this 2,600. $1,800. Next. $400. And the last one. -$600. Aya, sasa tukuje kwa residual income. Residual income inataka uchukue this one, you subtract the cost of capital. So kama hii sasa itachukua 1,600 minus 2,048. 1,600 minus 2,048. Minus 448. We go to the next. $936. Good. The next. 64. The next 552. The next 576. Is it really? Oh, 576. The next -432. The next 1088. The next 1016. Yeah. So with that, let's get now the return on investment. The return on investment, utakuwa unachukua this income here, this one, una divide na hii opening balance. So 1600 divided by 12800, then you multiply by 100. You multiply by 100. Uh-huh. 1600 divided by 12800 times 100. Yeah, 12.5%. 12.5%. We go to the next. %. 16.7%. $23.08%. Next, 25%. $7.7%. 50%. negative 23.07%. Now, when you look at that, there is something we called, or before I talk of that, so down there now, let us prepare a summary down there. Summary or the average. The average. So we have the measure here. We have residual income, and we have return on investment. We have project A, we have project B. So the sum, the average, what you do, unachukua these values for the residual income for project A. For the 4 years, you add them as you divide by 4. Then you divide by 4. So kama sasa hii ya the first one, utasema ni minus 448. This one. You add this one. You add this one. And you add this one. You say equals, then you divide by 4. Give me the answer. Yes, 320. Let us do the same for B. It's 936 plus 552 plus minus 432 plus minus 1016. Divide by 4. Get the answer and do the same for the return on investment. So this is 10. For the residual, sorry, the return on investment, you do the same thing. una add hizo percentages. $26.05. To 6.05%. And the last one. $8.175. Set. Yeah, so what we have said there, or we are able to show, there is something we call dysfunctional consequences. It is in your notes. Dysfunctional consequences. Now, something is called dysfunctional if it ends up fulfilling a different function from the one that was intended. Or in other words, it is dysfunctional if it is not able to fulfill the function which it was intended initially. Now, performance measurement is intended to encourage managers to perform well so that we have a basis of rewarding them. And if the results show that the manager has not done well, it is also used as a basis to punish. Now, anyone, including you and me, we will do anything possible to ensure that we get rewarded, and even rewarded in a bigger way. We will also do anything possible to ensure that we do not get punished. And some of these punishments could be so severe, including losing your job. Losing your job. There is a bank, recently they wanted to fire people. And the method they used, they just set targets. And they told people, we are targeting this percentage. Within 1 month, in your territory, you must have delivered this. Failure to deliver, you consider yourself fired. And then the employees sign that document. Then you go to the field. But whoever has set these standards, we'll be discussing about them later, knows very well you cannot achieve those standards. So when the period of evaluation is over, you come with the results. And they find that you are below what you had said or when you agreed. And because you signed that if I don't hit this target, I am jobless, then you just go. So you cannot go blaming anyone. You are given a chance, you never achieved. So anyone would do anything to avoid such an occurrence. Now, one of the things that managers will do is to reject any project that has negative cash flows. You see, this is project A. In the first year, it is showing a negative cash flow. So when this manager is given the choice between A and B, he will go for B because you can see B is reporting a positive cash inflow. And in terms of reward, in terms of return on investment, A is returning only 12.5. B is doing double of that. And you know, in some companies, I think even in a question we have read, they will tell you that we are going to give you a bonus equal to the percentage you report multiplied by your salary. So if I'm going to get a bonus on my salary, 12.5% and 25%, then you can be sure I'll choose this one. So in the short run, the managers will choose this one. Sorry, this one. But in the long run, look at how things are turning. This one improves from negative to positive. But this one declines the second year from 936 to 500. That year, this one improves significantly from 64 to 576. B declines further from 500 to negative 400. Last year, this one continues, it improves double. This one, it reduces. And the same pattern you can see with the percentages. Now, if these projects were to be looked at in a 4-year period, you can see project A, which appeared not to do very well, every single year on average is giving us the 20. But project B, which appeared good, is only giving us 10 shillings. So these two projects, or these two persons, or these two companies, when we will be going to the 5th year, this will be a very poor person or very poor company. It has 10 shillings, while the colleague has 320. So these guys cannot compete in the market. This one can be able to employ the best of the workers in the market. This one can be able to take the best of technological developments of the day in the market. And so on and so on. Actually, this one can even do what we call the hostile takeover over this. This company is so weak. So what we can see is that there is a likelihood of becoming weak in future for embracing something that appears good now. And the likelihood of becoming very strong in future for embracing something that does not appear good now. So that's why you need to prolong. Now, when you prolong, that is one of the measures. To avoid managers taking this one, you prolong the measurement period. So you don't measure guys' performance on 1 year, you give people time. You give people time, wajipange, and then they're able to deliver. So that is what I wanted to say about that. Now, for your assignment, I would like you to handle December 2013. Let me confirm whether it is there. December 2013. Yes, it is there. December 2013. Question number 5B. Yes, I would like you to do that. December 2013, question 5B. Good. So tulikuwa tumeambiwa we advise them on which project to take. So they should take project A. They should take project A. So we are going to stop there, not unless there is any concern. Any concern?
No.
Good. So have a good day. Pick up from there in our next lesson.
Okay, thank you. Good day too.